What's up, and welcome to another episode of Q&A. And hey guys, just a disclaimer for the entire week of content. I have had to be dealing with a move. I am moving currently. There'll be more details on that in a video I think I'm going to drop tomorrow. So all of this, including what you're seeing right now, is pre-recorded from the week previous. So if something big happens somewhere in Browns land, or you just signed up on the Patreon and want your name shown, that's going to happen starting next week. It's not going to happen for the week of videos that you just saw, or did not happen for the week of videos that you just saw because it was pre-recorded. So I did not do Patreon shout-outs in those videos. So starting next week, you'll get a fresh slew of new content. I hope you've been enjoying. I had Jake Burns, G. Bush on, some interesting guests all week to talk Browns with. But I hope you have enjoyed the slate of videos that I had this week. But now with that disclaimer set, so now things make a little bit more sense. Let's get into your questions. I got some questions I didn't have the time to get to last week, so I wanted to get to them now. Forgive me if any of these are out of date by the time you watch this, but I don't think many of these will. This question comes from Giants Nation, who says, "Hey Quincy, sorry about the absence. I know you miss me. Yeah. But my question is, what do you think about Carson Wentz? Will he do good with the Colts' own coordinator from 2017? Is there with him? I mean, his coach from 2017 was with him in Philadelphia, and it didn't work. I don't know why the coordinator would be the thing that makes the difference, especially since we know Doug Peterson's offense is pretty much Doug Peterson's offense, and that's a version of what Frank Clark or Frank Reich, is using out there in Indianapolis. So I don't buy that logic with Carson Wentz. Look, man, Carson Wentz can get better. He has been better. But we need to put into context just how awful Carson Wentz was this season. This was a year where quarterback play across the board with young QBs kind of exploded. You saw a lot of good young quarterbacks this season. And then there was Dwayne Haskins, and behind Dwayne Haskins, there was Carson Wentz in DVOA metrics, efficiency. So that's how bad Carson Wentz was. We made all these memes about Dwayne Haskins. Carson Wentz was worse. We made all the 30 for 30 memes about Jameis. Jameis was good enough to start those 16 games for Tampa Bay to go 30 for 30. Carson wasn't even that good last season. Like every quarterback that we have roasted in the past 15 years, he has been much, much, much worse than. I don't know if a new head coach is going to be the issue solver for him, because to be honest, the coach I don't think was that big of a problem in Philadelphia with them. Part of the problem is that nobody likes to play with Carson Wentz. It's definitely a factor in it. And look, you can say I'm projecting things, but everybody who's played with him has kind of had the same vibe where they're like, we like Nick Foles better. So that, on top of, how well Nick Foles did play in 2017 with the Eagles, could suggest that maybe playing on that Eagles team as a quarterback was a little bit easier than some people assumed at first. But I don't know, man. Look, Carson Wentz, his issues just aren't offensive related or help related. It's a lot of him holding on to the ball. It's a lot of him being extremely reckless with the football, both when he runs and he's in the pocket and when he throws. He's just reckless. He doesn't make great decisions. Look at his tape. It is awful. So I don't know, man, what Carson Wentz, if he's going to be able to get better or not. All I know is that is a full-blown reclamation project. And I have not seen a ton of reclamation projects in the NFL that have turned out the right way. This is akin to trying to get RG3 back to being RG3 when Hugh Jackson thought he could do it. Yeah, it can happen. It's definitely a possibility. All things are possible in the NFL, right? But it ain't that likely, in my opinion. The next question comes from Aaron Fish, who says, what do you think Cleveland should do with Chris Hubbard, Sheldon Richardson, and Case Keenum's contract, maybe Njoku too? Seems like some cap savings could be there Just spend more on defense. The Browns don't need to do a single thing with cap. They have what the cap space is going to be this year plus their cap rollover. How cap rollover works is Jake Burns, when I had him on, kind of explained, is that the Browns have $30 million that they can go over the cap in a given year if they need to. So why is that important? Well, the Browns can structure contracts in a way to where if they sign like a 2-year deal, they'll all kind of hit in 2023 or 2022 or whatever year they choose to go over the cap, so they can have that kind of big cap. Long story short, the Browns have no cap issues. They really don't. Yet you can cut Case Keenum. He's pretty replaceable. Sheldon Richardson, that's probably coming in a year or so. David Njoku's probably not going to get an extension unless he takes a pay cut. So, yeah, these things are going to happen. I would say keep Chris Hubbard around because you need a swing tackle. And we saw how useful it could be to have those backup tackles in there. So, yeah, you could start making some of these decisions. But if we're making like hardcore cap decisions this offseason, I'm going to be very concerned about the direction we're taking. Because it's not the offseason to get like worried about the cap. That's 2022 and later on in this run for the Browns. Not right now. If they start doing that now, that's a huge red flag in my opinion. Next question comes from Chris Nipper, who says, hey, Quincy, if any of these defensive players get cut, who would be the best fit for Cleveland? Shaquille Barrett, Levante David, JPP, Von Miller. I mean, I would go for Von Miller. JPP would be a fine fit. Levante David, I don't know about him. There's some use there, but he really is more of a stand-up linebacker. Shaquille Barrett, dude, that's just unrealistic, man. I know the Browns have cap space, and they do have like the ability to do that, but that would be insane. You know how much money Shaquille Barrett's gonna make? Like, you can't have 2 Myles Garrett contracts and then sign your quarterback to a deal. Like, that's not. Like, nobody has that. Like, if this were baseball, maybe we could talk about that. But I don't know about no Shaquille Barrett. You know how much money he's going to make this offseason. Okay, the next question comes from Charles Cummings Sr., who says, what's the best solution for our linebacker issue? Which free agent would you sign? And who are some realistic draft options? I don't think the Browns have a linebacker issue. I think if you re-sign B.J. Goodson, you develop Jacob Phillips, maybe you get lucky, you can keep Malcolm Smith. I think you're fine there. I think Taki's been well in certain roles. I think you keep developing him. And linebacker has just proven to be a position over the years that the Browns have been able to kind of fill reliably. So I would trust what they're going to do. I don't think you need to do anything spectacular there. The next question comes from Dominic Shackleford, who says, in your opinion, what would be the perfect offseason for the Browns? Getting a serious running mate for Myles, whether that be inside, outside, or both. You need to get him somebody serious, a guy who has been a consistent Pro Bowler with a nice resume. J.J. Watt, Von Miller, that would be the dream, right? But there are other names certainly that can fill that void for me. And then getting a couple of corners, whether they play safety, I would presume, or I would prefer safety. But if you can get some just more corner depth, that would be great there too. And then a burner. You want a fast wide receiver so you can use Odell in different ways other than being a deep threat. So if you can get somebody who can take care of that, I think that unlocks the different ways you can use Odell, and the route combinations you can give to him so he's not just being a decoy all the time. So that's what I would do, and that's what I would like the Browns to do. This next question comes from Project X12, who says, if the Browns are to trade Odell to the Buccaneers, do you think we can get somebody good defensively for him? Probably not. There's not really a good trade for Odell when it comes to a defensive player. In my opinion, I just don't see it. You're not getting Marcus Lattimore for Odell because, no team that's trading a good young player is trading him because it's not the cap. So they're not going to take in a expensive wide receiver. Again, it just doesn't make sense for any team to really be like, hey, we're going to get rid of this guy that's young and good and take Odell, because it's usually for cap reasons that they're willing to do that. What whether you like it or not, we're having Odell on the roster this year. I think it's a good thing. But, you know, everybody else wants to trade him. I don't get it. Next question comes from SFark123, who says, hey, Quincy, if you prioritize or had to prioritize an extension this offseason, who's your first priority to get taken care of? For me, it's either between Baker or Chubb. It is Baker. I get that. Everybody loves Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb is a great, great running back, top 2 in the league. But it's Baker. It's obviously Baker. You know what I mean? You can have a really good running game, not to the same level, but a really good running game without Nick Chubb. It's going to be hard finding, you know, quarterback play at the same level as Baker Mayfield. That's just the reality of the situation there, right? Baker might not be as good at his position as Nick Chubb is, but Baker plays a position that's harder to find guys than Nick Chubb's does. So that's why you would have to prioritize Baker. Baker first. You see what you could do with Nick Chubb. If Baker decides to take less money, or if you just have an abundance of cap space and can figure it out, then do it. I would recommend it. I would love to keep them both here. But if you're asking me who's being prioritized, it's got to be the quarterback. But that's it for this week's question and answer segment. Thank you guys for asking these questions. Again, guys, have a great day and have a good night.